Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here on the J Free 906 podcast channel. We have, of course, co-host Mike Owen, and tonight our special guest Dustin Eskelsen, and also Ben Stoll from MUFON, Utah. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having us.
Man, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And I was saying in a little promo that I did earlier in the week, I had made a comment about the fact that you always bring the receipts. And you always do. You always bring such good, interesting cases, but you have the stuff to back them up. And that's so awesome. I appreciate that so very much because, and then that's going to be where we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. That'll kind of be one of my big questions that I want to ask also of the chat tonight as well as you guys. So, folks, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate it very much. And as always, I like to ask that if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel and click on that notification bell because we often have new content that we bring out from time to time, and you certainly don't want to miss that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about UFO, UAP type subject matter with everything happening. And, after the movie, The Age of Disclosure coming out, I think we are getting closer to it, to disclosure. I don't know that we'll ever get full disclosure, but I think if the admission from our federal government that they do exist is already happening, it's already becoming a thing. So it's time to embrace it. And I think the more we can talk about it and share these types of sightings, it helps us all to understand it a little bit better as we go forward. Also want to say too, folks, if you like the content of the show we do for you here tonight, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It really helps in the YouTube algorithms to get this out to more and more people. And to get started tonight, what I'd like to do, and this is the question that I would like to pose to not only our panel here tonight, but also to those of you in the chat are welcome to give your thoughts on this, but it has to do with AI. And my personal thoughts on AI is that it is here, it's not going away, and we need to embrace it. We need to learn how to work with it and utilize it. The one big problem I have with AI is how do we know when something is AI generated? Right now, it is kind of it's not too hard to tell for the most part. If things don't work or seem just right in the video, you can sometimes tell that it's AI generated, but they're getting better and better all the time. So when it comes to UFO, UAP photos or videos, how do we know that what we're looking at is real? And do you feel that it's becoming more commonplace that when we go out to X or we go out to Instagram or TikTok or wherever, and we see one of these either photos or videos, how do we know that it's real? And are they getting more and more commonplace? I'd like to open up that discussion to you guys. You can jump in however you want on that, but what's your thoughts on this? I mean, it's kind of crazy.
It's crazy, and it's only getting better too. I know just within like a year or two, using AI for images or video, creating your own videos has gotten so a lot better. Like you said, right now you can kind of distinguish it sometimes with a video. Sometimes people have extra fingers, they're missing fingers and weird things like that when you create these images. But it's only getting better, and it is a double-edged sword because we're starting to use it now for researching as well, looking up old newspaper articles or I've used it on cases. It's a lot more simple to say, hey, what was the weather like on this date in this area?
Absolutely.
Give me the longitude and latitude. It's made everyone's life 10 times easier.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also something that, worries me from an investigator standpoint. If people are going to try to hoax certain things, I've already seen images and video on social media where people post and people are saying, no, that's AI. And then, of course, someone will say, well, I'm just trying to represent what maybe someone saw, which can be used as a tool. But if no one explains it up front, it's up to the interpreter of whoever's reading it to buy into whether or not this is AI. And it worries me as well. Also, we're starting to see, we haven't seen it in Utah, but we're starting to see AI creating reports on the MUFON database. Like it'll fill out all these reports Yeah, and we've had other state directors look through it and go, man, there's this really long, eloquent dialogue, and then they start looking into it and they go, oh, this is AI that was created this. Another worry that we have as well.
Wow. I mean, how do you know? How do you figure it out? Is it something? Go ahead.
I think sometimes it's just a little too much detail and a little too written out. A lot of the cases we get are very quick synopsis in the beginning. But also, I think they may get multiple ones at the same time, like a bot sending them out. And of course, if they go to investigate the case, the phone numbers they have probably don't work. The emails probably don't work.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it does worry me from a hoaxer standpoint. It's a tool that hoaxers can use, but it's also a tool that we can use to sort of figure out that things are truly unknown.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in on this topic?
Ben, you have thoughts?
Went to the Colorado MUFON photography class on forensics, and there are ways you can go and look at the EXIF or EXIF data or metadata on photos and videos, and you can tell from that the coding inside of there, if it's been manipulated, if it's been changed, and
right.
And I'm sure that they're going to come out with some apps or something that will help us determine some of that. But I love AI, using it to help you determine some of your cases. And I know it can even look at the lights and the light frequencies on certain lights that you report to. And it might be useful someday.
Yeah, hopefully so. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's here to stay. It's only going to get worse. But I think you have to, one, leverage it to help do the analysis. What better to determine if it was created by AI than AI? Because it is going to get to the point where humans may not be able to tell, at least not at first viewing. The other thing is, and I think last time we talked, I think Dustin's explanation of everything they went through in investigating is that it's just one piece of evidence. It's only one piece.
Right.
And you have to look at the totality of circumstance, as we like to say. And it's not ever just one thing. I mean, if you see one video on social media, yeah, big deal. I don't usually get that much stock, but if somebody's actually trying to make a report and it's supposed to be something real or maybe real, it's only one piece of the puzzle. And the scientific process should vet that to some extent and make sure that you find out exactly what it was and where it came from, and if it's AI or not. I think we'll still be able to manage as long as we follow the process.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it is getting tough. And that's like in the and I'm going to start doing this all the time now. And I think that, I noticed for the History Channel, we talk a lot about History Channel TV shows, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Curse of Oak Island, things like that. And I've noticed that at least the production company Prometheus, when they do a AI generated picture of something, it says on there now, and that's what when I did with tonight's thumbnail. If you look at this, and I'm going to start doing it all the time. I'm going to bring this back up here. You see down in the left-hand corner, I put AI generated photo. I think that is important to now start to do, and I'm gonna be doing it from now on. Anytime I present a photo like that, I'm going to put down there that it is. And I noticed that Prometheus is starting to do that too, and I applaud them for doing so. So one of the things too, that I guess the last question on this particular subject that I would like to ask of you guys is, I'm going to ask the question, then I'm going to give you my answer real quick after it. Should there be a law marking that when an AI video is done, that it is marked as an AI video, AI generated video? Now, my answer on this is, for me personally, I feel that I'm going to always do it. Should there be a law? Maybe not, unless, and this is a qualifier I put on it, if you are doing a video of actual living people. I mean, people that are like let's just say we take one of Thomas Winterton from Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and we have Thomas there, and we got Thomas saying something that Thomas never said. We make a little video of Thomas. He is an actual living person, and I think that if that is, first of all, I say don't do it at all, because you don't have his permission to use his likeness and make him saying something that he's not saying. But if somebody does, I think it should be marked that it should be a law that says it has to be noted that that is AI generated. Thoughts on that? A law on such things?
I think I'm right. I'm right with you on that, Jeff. I think personally, I don't think there should be a law on whether or not you should have to add whether it's an AI logo. But I do believe if you're taking someone's likeness and using it, and you see it all the time on Instagram ads, people are using celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal and things like that, using AI generated video to promote their product. And I'm like, man, that seems incredibly illegal. And I would be mad if someone was using my likeness to promote a product that I had nothing to do with. I'm not getting paid by them.
Right.
So yeah, it is something that I think if you're going to take someone's likeness, definitely you should at least say, yes, it's an AI generated image. And you should probably never do it, period, without their permission.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you, Jeff.
What do you guys think?
Well, an image is like a trademark or a copyright. And when you corrupt that with somebody else's thoughts or their agenda, or I hate seeing them on Facebook. You see famous people, and and an ad for some kind of a product, it's a fake. That is not really JFK Jr. promoting a product. It's a fake, and I see it all the time on Facebook. Yep. It's there everywhere, and it should be illegal.
Yeah, I think it's gotten so good. When you can't distinguish what is AI created and what's real, there should be an indicator of some kind that this is generated and it's not real. Should it be a law or not? I'll let the politicians decide that. I do think it's probably a best practice. Because otherwise, and you already see it, is once people figure out something isn't real and it was AI and they weren't told, they get pretty upset. It's deceptive. Even if you don't intend it to be, right? You feel like your audience has been deceived. And so I think for, self-preservation, you should be doing what you're doing, Jeff, and make sure that you're being honest about it. There's certainly no harm in doing so. I mean, why wouldn't you? To me, it's not changing anything. It's just there's certainly illustrators have been drawing and creating things that aren't real all the time as artists for TV shows for forever. But you can tell when something's hand drawn. You can't tell that anymore with AI. So something needs to indicate this was done by AI, so that people know that it's not real.
Right. A couple of the comments that have come up here with Tom Burns said the problem will be enforcement. Yes, I understand.
Always.
You're absolutely right. And then Buffalo asked the question, isn't our likeness owned by us, like copyright? I don't know. What's the deal with that? I mean, do I have a right to sue somebody if they had, I think I do, if they used me and saying something that I didn't say?
For profit.
Yeah,
that would be an easy one.
Yeah.
If it's other than that might be tougher.
Yep. And Betty Allen says, same with voice, using your voice.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Right. So anyway, so it's something to think about, folks, going forward, because I know it's going to get, we're going to see it happen more and more. It's going to become one of those things. And I related it initially to just talking about UFO, UAP type stuff, because by golly, I want to see what people see, what they've recorded with their phone that they think is a, non-human intelligence of some sort, or a craft or something. But how do I know now if it's real or not? You see Bigfoot stuff all the time. There's Bigfoot walking through the woods. Is it created by AI? I mean, you know. So I want to be able to look at it and understand that it's real. So anyway, all right. If you guys have further thoughts on that, please, add that to the chat or the comment section later on this video. I appreciate to hear what you have to say about it. So add those in the comments of the show later on, because I will be reading those. I always do. I go and respond to as many as I can. So feel free to give your thoughts on this if folks are watching it later on. Okay. We're going to talk about some cases that MUFON Utah has. I think Dustin's got a case or two ready for us. And Mike, I think you've got something you wanted to share as well, don't you?
Something I want to talk about. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I like
You want
it.
to go first?
Me or Dustin?
You.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that.
Oh, all right. We can do Dustin first.
Let Dustin go
Okay,
first.
all
Yeah,
right.
if you want,
He's the
yeah,
guest.
it's all good.
He's the guest. I'll defer.
Let me
All
share my screen real
Oh,
quick.
real quick before I do that, I did have Ben sent me one. I'm going to show his real quick. This is a video that was made, and I'm going to let you folks decide, was this real or AI? All right, here we go. I'm going to bring it up. All right, I'll show it one more time. All right, there you go. Real or AI? Oh, everybody's jumping in. AI. All right. Well, yeah. But see, that's the thing. I mean, when you first see it and it's showing you, Ben, sitting there holding that fish up, I'm like, that looks real. And maybe it is. But what happens from then on? Yeah.
They're ragging on your fishing skills, Ben.
Well, my son, he caught it and lost it. And then I captured it. And then he put little heart kisses all over it and really messed up the photo. And I was bad. And then he cleaned it all up. And so it was beautiful again. And then he sent me that AI garbage.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
But I did release the fish, just not that gracefully.
So that was AI. So there you go. We got an answer on that one. So I'd say it was real. Well, it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was AI generated by his son. So there you go. Though I mean, it looked pretty darn good, didn't it?
Well, I take AI. Dustin, all he sends me is cases with no pictures. I mean, about half the cases I get, I don't get any pictures. Very seldom do I ever get a video.
Yeah, that is
Those are
hard.
what makes it fun. You get to use your imagination.
Mm-hmm. I've used AI. I really do. I use it here and there for the podcast often, and it's an awesome tool. So
I use it constantly. Yeah, especially if I'm talking about a case like Ben says, there may be no photos with it, but you can use their description to create something to at least give people an idea of what they saw. So yeah, I think it's a great tool, good and bad.
Yep, good and bad.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got for us, Dustin?
Okay, so this case is one out of Florida. So this is one that we did not investigate. I dig through the database, and I love cases from all over the world. And this one came out of Florida. The Florida team has an amazing group. State Director Matt Kellison, Assistant State Director Rusty. You have Steve Foss, who I became friends with. He's the one that's turned me on to this case. So this one, actually, the main investigator's name was David Toon. Now, David Toon is retired military aviation, incredibly bright guy, and one hell of an investigator. And I have no idea why this case wasn't showcased at the MUFON Symposium. So I try to display it as much as I can. So let's talk about the first one. This is in Umatilla, Florida, sort of in the central area up top, December 5th, 2023. You have a woman that's driving northbound.
Share screen, Jeff.
I don't believe he. Oh, serious. I'm sorry. I didn't.
No worries.
There we go.
Back it up. So yeah. So and for the record, this picture here was made by AI.
All right. There you go.
I want to be fully transparent there. So first place of incident was Umatilla, Florida, December 5th, 2023. A lady was traveling northbound on the road. She had her dog in the car. All of a sudden, she noticed her dog was starting to whimper as if it was in pain. And next thing she knows, her car shuts off, her phone shuts off, and there's this really loud screeching sound that's so painful. Like it's almost like her head had this immense pressure in it. She then sees this giant triangular craft fly overhead, maybe 100 feet in front of her car. Not that far off the ground. In fact, it was flying so low that it clipped the top of a tree nearby. It was going from west to east, and behind it was 2 military jets following it. She gets out of her car. There's other cars on the road that went completely dead. A person gets out of their car. They had blood coming from their ear. Another person gets out of their car. They just dropped to the ground and started crying. Another person gets out of their car. They'd wet themselves. So you had a lot of people that were really shook up from whatever energy or whatever was coming off this craft. She gets home, tells her husband about it. The investigators talked with the husband. The husband said she came home in a state that he'd never seen her before. Luckily, they reported it, I think, the next day. So MUFON went out and they actually took electromagnetic readings from her vehicle. They also took electromagnetic readings from the same year, make, and model of her vehicle as a control. And they found that her car, the side that the craft came from, had a decrease in the electromagnetic energy, and the side it came out of, the east side, had a huge increase. So whatever energy was coming off this craft literally turned her car into like a magnet. So we fast forward 27 days later, Port Orange, Florida. So I found this case on Enigma Labs. Enigma Labs is an independent UFO reporting platform you can download on your phone. They have some amazing cases out of there. And I just thought this was interesting that there's this case here that was reported on New Year's. And the person went outside and they said about 200 feet above, they saw a solid black triangle with a light on each point. It was moving west to east, same direction as the lady saw in the earlier case. They reported it as seeming translucent, as if as they could see the clouds through it. Dead silent, and appeared almost as if it were a hologram. So now we get to the second MUFON case. This one came a little over a month from that first one where the lady's car died. And this happened in Ormond Beach, Florida, January 16, 2024. Only 11 miles apart from that Enigma Labs case one. Once again, you have a lady driving northbound. She's on the phone with a friend. All of a sudden, she hears static on the phone, some sort of interference that she's never heard before. She looks up above her, and about 100 feet in front of her and about 100 feet above her are 2 black triangular crafts hovering, pointing towards her, keeping up with her as she's going 65 miles per hour. They had a red and green light on the bottom of them. She put it on the top of it to kind of show what it looked like. She witnesses them for 20 seconds. They disappear in front of her eyes. The static in the phone goes away. Her friend on the other side of the phone says, "What the hell was that? What was that noise that was on your phone?" They'd never heard that noise before. Once again, the Florida MUFON team goes out. They take electromagnetic readings of her car, compare it to the same year, make, and model of another car to get a control. And they found that the front end of it had a lower reading than it should have, and the rear end of it had a higher reading than it should have. Not quite as much as that first MUFON case, but enough to make you think that there was a lot of energy in that area.
Wow.
She actually created a diorama with her kids' toys, which I think some of these MUFON witnesses are so creative in showing what they saw. So here's a little video of what her car was. That little tank right there. She's represented by a tank. And those 2 triangular craft were right above her, pointing towards her, which I think is interesting, but keeping up with her. And there was some red and green lights on the bottom. She put them on the top to represent so we could actually see them.
Wow.
So one more case that I think is interesting out of New Fork that happened a little while later, 32 miles apart from Incident 3, out of Oak Hill, Florida. You have someone going outside to close a gate. They heard a weird tone or pitch ringing in their ears. Their head began to buzz and felt like static. They saw a completely silent black triangle not too far in front of them. And they quote, "My throat closed as I was struggling to breathe. It felt like a forced physiological response, not typical anxiety. A strong pressure was felt in their head to the point that they began to feel pain. The rest of the night, they had a headache, was nauseous, and basically had to sit and cry. The next day, they seemed to return to normal. So this person had a lot of the same effects that we saw in that first MUFON case, where all the cars died on the road and people had these weird physical as well as physiological effects happen to them. So let's go back to that first MUFON case where all those cars went dead. I'm going to show you a VFR map. Now, there's a lot. These maps are very busy, and I would never claim to understand everything going on in this map. I'm not a pilot.
Yeah.
But David Toon did a great job at sort of representing this little piece here. So that big red area, that arrow there, is a restricted military air zone. So only military airplanes can fly through it. It's the R2910A. Now, if you look, there's these really faint gray lines that go down and then they shoot off to the east. And then right here, you have this car here. That's exactly where the first witness saw this craft. Now, this gray line that goes down into the east is designated for military aircraft for them to use that path. Now, we look at the second MUFON case, the one where the lady saw the two triangular craft pointing towards her. That X represents where she was at. Now, if you see these gray lines up here that go down and they sort of go southeast and then go south, this light gray line is the military route named IR-20. It's for any military craft known or unknown. They use this low-level route for test flights, training, or normal operations. So he believes, and I think he's probably right on the money, is that this craft was not otherworldly. This is possibly what a lot of people refer to as the TR-3B, which is a very top secret military aircraft that may have been used crash retrieval technology to build. It's an anti-gravity aircraft. Typically, a lot of people will say that there's either a solid red or white lights, one on each vertice of the triangle. Sometimes they'll say there's also a porthole in the middle. And a lot of people talk about how there's cloaking abilities with this craft, that a lot of people talk about how they can kind of like see the outline of it, but they can see kind of through it. Almost, I always think of it as the movie Predator when they see Predator moving through the jungle.
Yep.
These cases are all over the database for MUFON. You can go to any state you want, and you're going to see people that have seen these TR-3Bs. I should say possible TR-3Bs. In Utah, we've had 3 what I would consider very interesting cases. The first one, it came in 2023, I think. I talked with a witness, but it happened in fall of 2012. She was in downtown Salt Lake. She got off work a little early. She was going westbound to get on I-15 to go home. She was stopped at a stoplight. It was a little cloudy outside. And she said she looked up from her window to the left, and she saw what she described as a triangular craft that was either super shiny and reflective, or it was translucent because she could see clouds on it. She drives for 1 block watching it. She gets to the next stoplight. This craft tilts to the left and just disappears in front of her eyes. Wellington, Utah, October 11, 2013. You have a guy getting off of work late at night. I think it was like 1, 2 in the morning. Sees this enormous, silent, black triangular craft go overhead. Counts the seconds and how long it goes overhead. This craft was being followed by 2 black military helicopters with armaments on it, and they were flying so low to the ground he said he could see that the pilots were wearing white helmets. He waved to the pilots, and to his complete amazement, one of the pilots waved back, which I think was pretty sweet of the pilot.
Yeah.
And last one is a very interesting one that happened not too long ago, September of 2022, where a witness submitted video of a triangular object hovering right over downtown Salt Lake. And this one made the rounds on like social media and YouTube and things like that. And to give you a little addendum to this, actually not that long ago, a couple months ago, since it was hovering over downtown Salt Lake, I always thought there has to be other people that have seen this craft. So I've always pleaded for people to please let us know. And I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Rennell, who's a friend and a fellow investigator. He's not with MUFON, but he investigates the unknown. Really great guy. And he actually got me in touch with someone who saw this craft as well, and they submitted photos of it. So what happened was the person was up on the hillside. They saw this craft for a couple of minutes. They got distracted. They turned around. It was gone. This new witness, same exact story. She says, I was up north of Salt Lake, saw this thing in the sky, took a couple pictures of it, went to what she was doing, turned around 2 minutes later, and this thing was just gone. So we have a lot of different triangular cases all throughout the databases. And it leads us to believe, is this a government created aircraft? And is it using reversed technology from crash retrieval?
I think it's a very good likelihood. I really
do too.
do. Because the number of cases that are getting this type of a craft are, like you said, they're getting more and more known. And I mean, they're happening more and more. Put it that way. A lot of people are seeing this type of a craft, and so it begs the question: is that our own technology? And I'm kind of thinking maybe it is. Tom says, "Are there any MUFON cases outside of the USA that would suggest this equipment is being, or has been, or is being used elsewhere?"
Absolutely. There's an amazing one. I don't have it off the top of my head, but there's one in England that they took some pictures of. I posted on my social media, but yeah, it's been seen throughout the world. These triangular craft.
I just posted one.
Did you
Did you?
really?
It's down there on the screen. If Jeff,
Oh.
you could.
Okay. Yep. Oh, here we go.
That's out of Clinton, Utah.
Oh, right.
And how long ago was this?
About July, August
Okay.
this year. I spent a lot of hours looking at this, slowing it down and turning it. About two-thirds of the way through, you can see the very top circle starts to fade out.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
And you can see lines that connect each of the orbs, and spent a lot of time studying it. But
Wow. That's the thing that I think is important for people to remember, is that if this is a military aircraft from our own government, our own military in the United States, it's going to have to be tested. They're going to have to fly this thing around. How do you do that without it being spotted anywhere? That's the you got to test it, right? I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, really, you got to.
I almost wonder if they like every now and again a story coming out about this, saying it's translucent, it was hard to see, we couldn't hear it. Because like you said, Jeff, you're gonna have to test it, and you can't just test it in military areas. You're gonna have to fly it outside of there. Right. So yeah, eventually people are going to see it, and I think they have. I think people have reported on this since the 90s. People have been talking about these triangular craft that are silent.
Yes. Yeah,
yep.
Wow. Yeah, I hear the crickets too. Yeah, you could definitely hear the crickets in that video. That's what seems, I like that, because that's something that if you did the AI generated video, first of all, you might have trouble. It wouldn't look quite like that, but you're hearing the sounds in the background. I think that's really a good thing, actually. But yeah, you're exactly right. You would have to test it, and yeah, to get reports like that to say that it was doing its job as far as being stealth. Yeah, that would be great feedback, huh? Yep. Getting feedback without asking for it openly, as a cat says. Yep. Brian asked the question, what exactly are these triangle craft used for? Like, what is the end game if they are not being introduced to the public use? Well, I think there's also the case, and we saw this on the Age of Disclosure. It was discussed there a little bit as well, was that do we want to show our hand to our adversaries? Do we want them to know what we have? And I think that's part of the reason why the government has been, at least in more modern days, has kept hush hush about it. Back in the old days, it was because they were afraid that everybody would panic and hysteria would take over. Like I mean, look what happened when they had War of the Worlds radio program back, years ago. Freaked out so many people. So they took that and they said, well, if we had a thing happening today, like Roswell, of course, people are going to get freaked out. So they had a reason back then, but nowadays I think it's because they do have reversed engineered. They do have downcraft. They have non-inhuman craft and that sort of thing. And they are working on reverse engineering it, and they don't want to tip our hand. Your thoughts on that? I mean, does that sound feasible? It does to me anyway. Yeah. What about the Jersey drones? I don't know that there. Didn't our president come out and give some sort of a thing on that? Didn't he say that?
Yeah. So personally, I think they are man-made drones that they were testing and people were seeing. I don't think they were unknowns. But yeah, before he was elected, he said, "Yeah, we're going to find out what this is about. This is crazy that they're not talking about it." Congress had closed sessions informing them about this, and so they couldn't talk about it. And then when he was asked about it again as president, he said, "Oh, it was just the FAA. They knew about it. They knew what was going on, but they never went into any details about what was going on."
Yeah.
So it's a very hush hush thing that was going on with those drones. One of the explanations that I heard, I think possibly one of the most likely explanations, was that they believe that there was some sort of nuclear device that was inside a shipping container, possibly terrorism.
I heard that
putting in
story.
there.
Yep.
And they were using these drones to try to detect exactly where it was at. I don't know if that's true, but that seems like a very likely scenario of what was going on.
Yeah, I did too. I if that was made up, it was a good one because it was a likely scenario that was believable. And they were trying to track it down. So I thought, yeah, that sounds like something that would definitely happen. And using those drones, and as Brian said, something about they were did not seem completely man-made, and gave me the goosebumps because the sound, what artificial. So, that would. I mean, and there were so many sightings happening all the time. Somebody was up to something. And I would lean it to be more towards our government was up to something, and maybe not nefarious. They were trying to find something. So I bought into that story pretty quick, even though I have no proof if it was true or not.
I like the PSYOP theory. Let's do this and see how long it takes for the American people not to be blown away when it happens. After a month, we completely forgot about the drones, and it went by, and it was normal, everyday stuff now. And I think it was a psyop to judge our reaction to those tremendous numbers of drones that were out there. But I agree with you. I think they were looking for something, or testing the ability to look for something.
Yep.
That's what I heard, is they were our old technology drones. And that came out of that UBIC that Chris Bledsoe did, and Bertie Jaworski, and a lot of the people that were in that first bunch of psyops with the drones and everything. And Chris Bledsoe said that half of the drones were his, or the orbs that he saw. But he said there were more regular orbs there than there were government drones. But that was their explanation. That they were older drones that we had, and they were using test equipment that they could attach to the drones that would look for radioactive stuff, look for EMPs, and I think they were testing their tech capabilities of what they were able to do.
Yeah.
Bertie Jaworski, she's a remote viewer, and that's what she saw, was that people were sitting at computer screens and watching what was happening with the drones.
Yep. Could very well be.
I think, I don't know if we'll ever get a clean answer on that. The NEST team, which is the team that would go out, the nuclear emergency search team, they would be the ones that would be activated if there was a dirty bomb or a nuclear weapon of some kind that would be coming in. It doesn't sound like any of those folks were ever activated. And it sounds, when that initial story came out, that it might be, a lost weapon or a weapon snuck in. A lot of folks came out and said, no, it's that that group isn't activated. I think Jake Barber of Skywatcher program team said that they were hired by the FBI to go out and try and determine, and nothing they could throw at those things did anything at all to them. They had sounded like they have directed energy weapons, which would be basically just a high-powered microwave that's directional to try and fry circuitry, did nothing to them. So I don't know. And the truth is often somewhere in between. I'm sure it was a mix of hobbyist drones like me. I've got a number of them, a number of drones I could put up to in a matter of minutes if I wanted to. Not necessarily legally, but it sounds like not everybody cared. And some may have been more commercial type. As far as testing, I just find it hard to believe that you would test an asset that's that expensive to make over populated areas and risk it killing someone,
right,
or being lost and found by the general public. There's a lot of risk in that, and that's just not how programs tend to operate with the government when they're doing that type of stuff. I understand the thought that they would be testing things, but it doesn't track with what I've heard of how those types of things are run. Dustin, I wanted to mention this. I heard this I don't know, on a podcast somewhere. So who knows if this is true or not? But
Sure.
The Predator effect, that effect from the actual movie, the special effects, one of the special effects guys that helped create that effect, his last name is Hynek.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One of J. Allen Hynek's sons was a special effects creator that created the Predator effects. Isn't
that is awesome?
Interesting.
That is very interesting.
I've never heard that before.
Very interesting.
I had not.
I think there's a lot of people in Hollywood, especially special effects, makeups, and CGI people who are experiencers or way into the phenomenon. One in particular, Steve Nill. He worked on he created Spock's ears in the Star Trek movie. He worked on Star Trek Next Generation, and he's a lifelong experiencer. He has a show called Breaking the Silence, where he has experiencers come on and tell their story, and then he creates CGI imagery to show what they were seeing and experiencing. And I think Hollywood, there's a lot of people that have had experiences and led them to becoming artists to recreate what they saw, but they do it under the guise of Hollywood, and because a lot of them have to keep it secret, otherwise maybe they would never get that job, thinking they're crazy or out of it. But I've never heard that Hynek one. I'm going to look that. That is awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, don't take that for absolute fact, because like I said, I heard that on a podcast, but that floored me when I heard it.
I will look into that.
Like, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Breaking the Silence. Is that the one you mentioned, Dustin?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an amazing show. And Steve and Mary do an awesome job. And very fortunate that they're able to do what they do. And we're very fortunate to live in an age where technology, if you wanted to get your story out, I mean, back then there was 4 TV channels, and you had to go through all these channels to try and get anything on. Now we're living in a world where if you want to get your story out, you can throw it up on YouTube and get a following and start inspiring people to tell their own stories as well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what, we may venture into some more of that as we go along on this podcast, because I really, I know we're tied up or going to have so many different things happening right now, but I really want to, ever since the Age of Disclosure movie came out, I just feel very compelled to really get out there with more and more UFO, UAP, non-human intelligence type stories, because I think it's important that we keep this going, because that movie really changed me. I mean, I don't know if I know, Mike, you saw it a lot of times. I watched it many times myself because there's so much packed into that 2 hours worth of commentary. But it just compelled me to really want to push this issue more and more and get stuff out there. So we may venture into that at some point, but I like doing it through the eyes of you guys, Dustin and Ben, because of the fact that you guys have experience in how to investigate these, to root out the misidentifications, whatever it may be. And you have the ability to, or a better ability than I would, to root that out. I might have somebody come on and tell me some wild claims, and I have no way of really investigating it and find out how true it may or may not be. But you guys do, and you've been trained to do that, and that's why I really value what you bring to the table here for sure.
Thank you. We do our best.
Yeah, and it seems, and that's why we're going to be doing more too, folks. I want to tell you coming up, Dustin and I were talking, and Ben, about some folks from the Illinois MUFON that I've reached out, and I think anybody, quite honestly, Dustin, I really I so respect you and what you're doing. So anybody that you bring to the table, I mean, you brought Ben, and I was like, I don't know, Ben. I met the guy. No, I'm just
I knew that guy 2 years ago. Wow.
at Phenomicon, yeah. But you bring these folks to the table. I trust your thoughts on it, and anybody you want to bring them. I mean, I'm all for it, because I really want to. I love hearing these cases, and I love how you bring the detail to it. So, and I know they will too.
I'll bring as many. There's a lot of great field investigators, Jeff. Yeah, I'll send them all your way.
Yes, please. And you come with them. You got to come with them now, because you started it. So
you got it.
Mike and I are welcome to bring whoever you got. We'll do different shows on it all the time. Linda said, if you're ever in our Facebook group, I post the event. Oh yeah. So yeah, our Facebook group page is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. And it started out being about the Curse of Oak Island, of course. And then we got to a point where it's like, well, what else do we want to talk about? And I have an interest in all kinds of stuff, Bigfoot and everything else. Well, Mike's the cause of the Bigfoot stuff, but, so, we started adding all these other things. Now, do you want to have a Facebook group that covers everything? Probably not. You got to be more defined. But we did actually add Skinwalker Ranch, and because that was one of the next show we started talking about and what's going on out there. But so Linda does go out and she will post, hey, in case you're interested, Jeff is doing a podcast like this one. I'm talking with some MUFON people tonight, and Dustin and Ben. So thank you for doing that, Linda, even though that's not what that one is about. We do have Beyond Our World. Yes, thank you. There, she posted it up there. Beyond Our World Skinwalker Ranch. That is, I'm sorry, Beyond Our World is one that we have. That's John Edwards and I, and we gotta get John back involved in some of this stuff too. He's been really a busy man lately. He's a teacher, and he has been on the Curse of Oak Island TV show now, and that kind of limits what he can say on the podcast about that. But he definitely wants to get back into talking about the age of disclosure and UFO UAP type stuff. So anyway, as I went through all of that, let's get back to what we were. So any other cases you wanted to talk about, Dustin or Ben?
I got one more, but I'll let you guys decide. I know Mike has something to talk about.
Mike's up. All right, Mike, what do you got?
So not so much a case, but just a guy that's been doing some investigation, and I think we talked maybe about this a little bit last time. So related to, he got started by looking at the videos that Jake Barber and the Skywatcher team put out publicly. And he's a professional video analyst, apparently does camera work himself. He's got professional level cameras, and his YouTube channel is Pro Pixel Video. And you can take a look at that. One of the last videos that he just put out, I think it came out yesterday. And essentially, after analyzing the Skywatcher videos, he's like, well, let me first, get myself a baseline, and I'm gonna start filming the sky myself, so I know what birds look like when they fly through the frame, or I know what airplanes and what the International Space Station looks like, and all of the known things. And in doing so, he started to see some of the same stuff that Skywatcher was seeing. And so it's been very interesting to watch his progression of filming and the way he analyzes the video. And he does a pretty good job. He was working on a way that just anybody can do this, because he's using an $80,000 camera. with a $50,000 lens on it, so it's not accessible to just us normal humans. But one of the things that he was doing was putting a camera pointing straight up during the daytime and just letting it run. And he would first focus on a passing aircraft, and he'd check the app that you can get that will tell you information on that aircraft and get its altitude. And he would then know that his focal length, focus range was within a few thousand feet of whatever altitude, that 35,000 feet, of a commercial airliner going overhead. And then he'd start seeing things fly by. And the most interesting part, a couple things that are interesting. One, it's, Jeff was just talking about Skinwalker Ranch, and, if you watch the show, they show UAPs showing up. Seems like almost every time they fire a rocket up, there's something shows up. But the video, it's never very clear, and it's never very close, and it's always at a distance. It's just barely visible, and they just barely get into focus, or even when they do get in focus, it doesn't still seem in focus. And the stuff Skywatcher is seeing is the same. It's at a distance. It's hard to focus on. And the Age of Disclosure talked about some of the science behind that, and the fact that if the way that these things are flying is affecting gravity, then it means it's also bending light.
Yep.
And it may be difficult for us to see them. So that was sort of validating to see the Skywatcher stuff sort of matched what you see to some extent that shows up at Skywatcher. But the interesting part about the last video that this ProPixel video guy put out was he finally said, gave some instructions on if you want to go out and try doing what he's doing, at least a little bit. And what he said was, or what he recommended was, get a pair of binoculars, and I have mine. He said minimum 20 power by 50. And if you don't know, 50 is the dimension across here in millimeters. So this is actually a 16 by 50. So that is 50 millimeters across. So 16, I'd need a little bit stronger one. I don't know how important the 20 is, but he said 20 by 50 binoculars. And he said during the day, on a clear day, wherever the sun is, go off from the direction of the sun about 45 degrees and just look through the binoculars and just sit there. Now, he did point out that he is located in New Jersey, and so he pointed out that he's close to the ocean, and that may have some effect or be a factor. Maybe here in Iowa, I won't see anything. I don't know. Haven't tried it yet. But the fact that he's finally got to the point where he's confident enough. I mean, he said in his last video, I can go out and catch these at will. Every time I go out, without question, I can catch these. The stuff that he was showing in that video that just looks like a pinprick of light, but he's using thermal, and so it's heat. And at the altitude they're at, these aren't birds. I will say, though, that the flight pattern of a lot of this stuff is what's referred to as stochastic, or it behaves stochastically, which is a fancy word for saying it behaves randomly with rules, which is kind of how a bird flies. They don't fly perfectly straight like an airliner would fly. That's mechanical, right? A bird will fly kind of, with a little bit of variation. So a little bit random, but for the most part, behaves within a certain boundary. And that's what these things appear to be doing, especially the ones that they call them the manta ray. That one, it was another good video if you want to watch that one, where he can, of course, with his video editing, he can put different snippets of that thing as it goes across, and you can see that it almost looks like it's propelling itself by flapping the same way like a manta ray might. Mm-hmm. And every time it flaps, there's a flash of light. And he put the light across, every white spot that it created every time it flashed. He put all those across the screen. And it's not a dead nuts perfect straight line that, of course, would be indicate something a little more mechanical or man-made. It's got some variation to it, and just really interesting. In these cases specifically, it appears like the what he's seeing is more organic in nature, or behaving in a way that is more like animal, like we would see something in the animal world. And so then the question becomes, is it because we always assume that everything that's in existence is going to present itself in our visible range, or in a way that we can perceive it? Because, I mean, everything revolves around us, right?
Yeah.
Not everything in this universe was put here just for us to see with our eyes in a very, very narrow wavelength of light, very narrow. So now that we have more technology and we can see in different bands and a wider array, the question is it kind of along the lines of microscopic things. Before we had microscopes and magnification, we didn't know that there were bugs everywhere, germs everywhere, no clue. And then we got to a point where we had enough technology, and suddenly we discovered, lo and behold, there's actually stuff around us all the time. There's stuff on our skin. There's stuff everywhere, on every surface. There's things that we can't see with the naked eye. Doesn't mean it's not there. Does this now mean that we're getting to the point where we have the right optics, electro-optical, as they like to refer to it, cameras that can see in certain ranges, whether it's infrared or thermal or just different wavelengths. And there's stuff out there, and it's always been out there, and it's natural, and there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I'm not saying that there's other craft that aren't a little more sophisticated and different, but in the case of the stuff that this guy is seeing, and I think in some of the stuff that the Skywatcher team and Jake Barber have presented online too, it seems more, in my opinion, it seems more natural. Thoughts on any of that?
Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah. So it's a lot to pack in, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
I wrote some notes.
That unloaded on you.
No, I love that. It's this is all one big thought experiment, Mike. So like,
sure.
I love having discussions like this. The first thing you're talking about is those images, and I've heard these time and time again where people go, why aren't there any clear images of these UFOs? I believe there are clear images of UFOs, but there is that theory that, they're using some sort of anti-gravity propulsion, which is bending light. Some people talk about these things going overhead. They can see them. Then once it's right overhead, it's almost like it disappears, and then it goes behind them. So it's almost like it's bending that light. Another thing I think, and Ben and I have talked to so many different experiencers and contactees, whatever this phenomenon is, it's letting you see exactly what it wants you to see. It's not going to give you an incredible insight look in things. It's going to give you a glimpse or what it wants you to see. And so, as frustrating as that is, and I know skeptics are going to hit us over the head and say, come on, give us more videos, give us more. Why didn't they whip out their phone and take pictures and do all this? If it can read your thoughts and it knows everything that's going on with your emotional state, your mental state, all those things like that, it's allowing you to take whatever it wants you to take, and nothing more, nothing less. So I think there is a very calculated move on the phenomenon's part of doing this. And I know personally, doing these investigations right now, I've been doing this cattle mutilation on this property that's had multiple cattle mutilations, and we keep throwing more cameras and devices at it going, okay, we're going to get it this time. And it'll give us a tiny glimpse, barely, and then it stops. And then we'll move our equipment over there, and then it's somewhere else, and then it's somewhere else. And it's almost, I don't know if it gets a kick out of playing with us and messing around with us, but this phenomenon is, it knows that we're watching it, and it's like, okay, I'll give them a breadcrumb here and there, but I'm only going to give them a little taste. So yeah, that's my thought on that. As far as watching the skies, you think about how many things are flying overhead. Yeah, we have satellites, we have birds, we have airplanes and things. Like you said, we're looking at a very narrow spectrum, a very narrow frequency of sound that we can hear, and all these other things, all these other sensory measurements that only the human body can have. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff going on around us all the time that we don't see, we don't hear, we don't feel. And so it's fascinating. And I think technology has gotten to a point where now we can get these infrared cameras, thermal cameras, all these sensors for electromagnetic energy. And hopefully we'll get a little more glimpses into this world as more and more people are using this technology to try to figure this thing out. And lastly, I will say that it is it's egotistical, and I understand it's egotistical to think that we can somehow figure this out. I know there's been people thousands of years have been trying to figure this out. Millions of people are trying to figure this out. And I guarantee they have had IQs higher than all four of us combined, and they couldn't figure out what this phenomenon is. But it is something fun about constantly throwing things at it and try to catch it with its pants down, so to speak, and get these glimpses of what it's doing and why it's doing it. So yeah, I'm going to take a look at this Pro Pixel video. I actually wrote it down, so I'll give it a look.
I wanted to, if I could, jump in on this a little bit too. You know, you talked about the blurry pictures. This was something that was discussed on some different areas, and again, it was age of disclosure was one of them. Then I've actually heard Dr. Travis Taylor talk about this a little bit as well. That they, you know, even when they get what they think is going to be a good shot of something, a picture of something, they end up with a blurry a picture. And you've heard the reports from different pilots, military pilots, talking about a box around a figure, a round circle with a box around it. And then that whatever's inside is a little bit blurry. And I think it is exactly that. We talk about transmedium. On Skinwalker Ranch, they have actually documented what appears to be a UAP flying into the mesa and then popping out of the mesa. And then you've also heard about UAPs being able to go in and out of water without making a splash or any kind of indication that they went into the water. Just simply goes in and pops back out without any type of a splash. So if you're talking about, if you have some sort of a technology that allows you transmedium traveling through solid objects, then you would expect, at least in my brain, I'm thinking, well, you would expect it to be clouded in some sort of that. It'd be encased in that technology because it's, you know, not completely in our realm or dimension, but yet but isn't quite there, and it allows it to travel through solid objects. So, and I think that's why quite often they get pictures that are just a little bit blurry, not quite there. So that was my thoughts on that. You know, you were talking about seeing the images flying like a bird flying through, and you see the individual little images of it flapping its wings or whatever. And I'm gonna again go back to Skinwalker Ranch and the Insider program. And Mike, I know you've probably seen this as well. Eric Bard has, you know, when you're an insider, and that's what the Skinwalker Ranch has, an insider program for those of you who might be. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. For those of you who might not be familiar, Skinwalker Ranch has a website or a program called The Insiders, and it is the skinwalker-ranch.com. They have screens that you can monitor 24/7. Eric has these like 4 screens, just like our box right here, where you see the 4 of us, and you can watch these different areas of the ranch and look for stuff. And people have documented seeing quite a bit of different things. One of them he has in there, and I forget. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's called Metaframe, where it updates every so often and clears the screen, but you'll see birds, bugs, whatever flying through, and you'll see little dots of their path through and out of the frame of view. And and if it's a bird, you can actually see the flap, you know, in those individual scenes as it goes through. And he does this because he's trying to capture anything that might fly through that field of view, and be able to pick it out from a bird or, like you said, different things like that. So that's really cool. That is a paid program out there. It is skinwalker-ranch.com. It is a paid program. I think it's like $9 a month or something, $10 a month. And I'm part of it, and I love it. I love going out there and watching that kind of stuff. And Eric will talk to you quite often out there. And lastly, you talked about us being able to perceive what we did a podcast on it. Mike, I don't remember if you were involved in that. It was called, I named it Can't Touch This, and it was a podcast about humankind's limitations on what we can see, smell, touch, feel, hear, everything. And so if I said, well, if we're limited on our sight, if the things that within our and I'm trying to think of the wavelengths. I guess it's wavelengths but things we can see. And same thing with hearing, same thing with smelling. Is it possible that we can also are limited by what we can actually touch? And so there may be things happening right around us that we can't see, and because we're just out of phase with it a little bit or whatever it may be. So that gets into a whole big a whole nother topic that we're not going to discuss here tonight. But there you go. If a UAP or non-human intelligence has the capability of doing that, any of those things, then absolutely, like Dustin said, they may be as well be showing us what they want us to see and nothing more. So kind of interesting in that respect. Ben from Hutchins Museum released a live recently. He said a bird passed into the mesa too. Oh, geez.
Yeah. He gave a presentation to the Hutchings as well as Phenomenon, but just recently at the Hutchings Museum. And he was able to give insight into a lot of things that happened when he's on the ranch that wasn't on the show, but Brandon Fuel gave him permission to it. It was an amazing presentation. He posted it on YouTube. If you haven't seen it,
what's that called again?
Ben Woodruff. He's
yeah.
So he posted on
biologist.
YouTube. Yep, biologist and
on Skinwalker Ranch.
He's got a lot of energy and he's a great presenter and man, amazing presentation. So if you're into Skinwalker Ranch, go find it on YouTube. He had some great insight and some things that are going on in the ranch that he was able to share with us, and we appreciate it, Ben. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's something that the bird's not going to have the capability that we know of to be able to transmedium through the mesa, but did it accidentally go through some sort of a portal or something that was already there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely did some odd things, and it reacted to.
I gotta watch
some
that.
things that we know go on the ranch. It had a GPS tracker, and the GPS tracker is what showed that it would have flown through the ranch. So we know how well GPS works on the ranch. So I guess keep that in mind. But still, that just its behavior alone indicated that there was something going on in the ranch that bothered it, that it didn't like. So, and it took them a while to get one of the birds to come back. Even for a while, they thought they might have lost it, but they did eventually get the bird back because these are falcons that they do falconry with. So, but he actually, there were a couple of things in there. I mean, not that I'm an absolute expert on Skinwalker Ranch, but I've been in the insider program since almost the inception. There was stuff in there that I did not know. So it had some really good nuggets. The path of the Skinwalker that the Native Americans say, the path that the Skinwalkers would walk, you should have mapped and traced the line of where I'd never heard that before. And all the shows and all the Q&As and all the discussions with the guys on the ranch, never knew that. So there are a couple of other really good nuggets. It's worth a watch for sure. And he's a fantastic presenter.
He is.
He's got a lot of energy.
I tracked down that black Jaguar the other day where he had the photo of it. I looked at that the other day when I went through Roosevelt, and it almost goes straight from that point in Roosevelt right down to the Skinwalker Ranch. I shared another photo there if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, I got it right here.
That's the new the Chris Bledsoe orb photos that they've been coming up with.
Yeah.
And he's got some really good videos, and maybe I'll send you a link. Somewhere I've got a link of this lady has been taking that. You have to see the video and watching this thing move, but you can see the patterns, and she's actually analyzed all the data off of that and came up with some some analysis from that says this is actually communicating.
I was thinking, is it possible it could be like a QR code? You know, I want to take my camera and put it up to it and see if it, pulls up a an alien website. I don't know, just a thought. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's almost like a QR code. A little blurry though, I suppose, but that's really
Well,
cool.
that photo, I just took a screenshot. That's trash. The actual video is as clear a picture as I've ever seen of an orb.
Yeah.
However he's filming those is phenomenal.
I don't know, and it's funny he seems to be able to call them out. I mean, when you see, and that's one of the things too. We were talking about the AI stuff, but that's one of the things too. When you see stuff moving in the night sky, you can't tell. You have no real perception of how far away it is. If it, and if it's blinking, it's probably a plane. If it's not, who knows? It may be a satellite. Starlink is passing over all the time. You see them flying around up there quite a bit through the night sky. But he sees stuff moving in and out of trees and whatnot too. And that is where I really get blown away by that. It's like, how are these orbs able to not only appear when he asks them to, but it looks like it's moving in the trees, out just a little ways from him. So again, you don't have that. You assume that if it's going by behind a few of the trees and in front of the few of the trees, that you can kind of get an idea of how far away it is. But again, he comes up with some amazing stuff. I mean, there's a lot of controversy about, whether it be, again, and I'm going to throw this out there. There's not a religious show like Linda was saying earlier, but the, angels and demons. Oh, those are angels. Those are demons or whatever. Don't have a clue. Don't, I'm not going to go there. But again, the simple fact that he sees so many of them is just amazing. It really is.
I shared a link down there on the orb analysis on the chat. Anybody?
Oh, okay, good.
But it's pretty amazing what she came up with.
Did you put it in the chat?
It's in the chat over on the side.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see it here. All right, let
sweet.
me. Okay, I'll put it up here in the chat where everybody can see it. Thank you. That was in the private.
I don't know. I haven't checked it all out. I just saw that she'd done an incredible amount of work analyzing those orbs. And
yeah, one last thing too, and I forget what these guys are called. Then Dustin will let you get to that final case you have.
Sure.
But there's a group of people, and I don't know if it's called Skywatch. It may be the same one that you're talking about, Mike. Is this the one where they've come up with these units that you can actually put? You can. They were building these units or showing you how to build these units that would scan the sky all the time, and then with the computer inside, it has like a camera that looks at a big, they call it like the fisheye, sees a lot of anything from moving in the sky, and then there is another camera that can actually zoom in on one particular thing, but it has the computer running and analyzes what is it, a plane, is it a satellite, and it rules out all these things. If it's none of the above, then it tells the other camera to zoom in on it and follow and track this thing. Is that the same?
Different group. Skywatch is different than Skywatcher.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's, UFO DAP that we've seen on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, the guys using, that's very similar to that. And it's tracking the night sky, but it knows the difference between all of these types of moving objects. And if it doesn't come into the database of known, then it tracks it. Yeah. That is amazing. And the technology is getting better and better and better with that sort of thing all the time. So I really applaud those teams that are working on that stuff. It's really interesting, and they capture a lot of crazy stuff for sure. All right. And I got to reach out to Ben too. I mean, I would love to have him on I think I did send him a text once and try to work with him a little bit to see if he'd be willing to come on, but he would be an interesting guest, would he not?
He would be awesome.
He would be entertaining for sure.
Yeah. I got to see if we can work that out. So, all right, Dustin, what do you got?
All right. Let's see. Make sure I'm on here. Okay, cool. So this case here, it's actually two cases, and this one happened not too long ago. This was just December of 2025. Let's see. Are you able to see that?
I see the one you have. I thought it was the older one, but maybe not. It's Nuclear Observers.
Yeah, there we go. That's the new one.
Okay. Yep. Cool. It should be coming. Wait, before presenting. Oh, and I got something else on. Oh, I got this one. Okay. It was telling me, get rid of the other one first. There we go.
No worries. Thank you. So this one came out of Idaho. Investigators Richard Frey. There was a man who was he was driving to a friend's house, and he happened to be up on a high vantage point near the town of Menon, and he happened to see all these strange lights on December 15th in the sky. So he decided to record them. So I'll play a little video. It's not the best, but it'll give you a little idea of what's going on here. So you have multiple lights sort of moving in weird directions. It was said in the case files that he noted that the larger ones were moving slower and the smaller ones were moving much faster in sort of different routes. He watched them for a couple of minutes, and then they just sort of disappeared. They got swallowed by the night. What makes this case even more fascinating is the town that it's in is a couple miles away from the Idaho National Laboratory, which is a national nuclear research center. And upon researching this, I didn't realize how rich the history of nuclear energy and power is in Idaho. And so to give you a little background, the Idaho National Laboratory was established as the National Reactor Testing Station in 1949. And it was the birthplace of nuclear power. So 1951 was the first time they were actually able to convert nuclear energy into electricity. At the same facility, research led to the very first nuclear propulsion submarine, the USS Nautilus, as well as so many other nuclear power plants and things like this. It was eventually renamed to the Idaho National Laboratory in 2005, and now their focus is in nuclear research and clean energy. So that may give us the reason why they have such big potatoes there. But what was even more interesting is the day before, on December 14th, we got another case from MUFON, which Richard investigated, which they were driving a little bit past Firth, possibly close to the town of Amon, which is even closer to the Idaho National Laboratory. And it was reported that there was a object. There's two witnesses, actually. Object darted in front of them going east to west, was an estimated 300 to 400 feet off the ground, so pretty low to the ground, and traveling at an estimated 200 miles per hour, a single white solid light. Now, once again, this is an AI image that I created, so don't think that that was submitted.
That's not actual. Okay.
Yeah. So it's fascinating, and there's been a million stories about how these strange lights or UFOs are always attracted to nuclear power plants or nuclear research centers or nuclear military facilities. And it's just fascinating that it's still happening, it appears. We have two separate nights where we have two separate cases of these strange lights hovering pretty close to this laboratory. And they also have a big area that they use testing on. And yeah, I just thought that was a good case to bring up because it just recently happened.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And how many people witnessed this, did you say?
So the first case was one, and then the case before, the day before, there was two witnesses driving in a car that saw that white light flying nearby.
Wow. And that's kind of what I was, when I was talking about the AI thing and the AI videos that are put out, and the fact that we are getting to kind of a point where, it's going to be hard to identify. Is it coming down to the fact that we're going to need to have multiple witnesses of a single event and multiple different pictures before we can even believe that it took place? You see them as things happening over a city or whatever, and you find out that there was multiple witnesses, and different videos coming or pictures coming from different angles. Is it going to take that for us to understand? I see, maybe so. To AO, you put up a thing there. Fluid AI. Oh my gosh, come on now. Oh, I don't want to think about the Terminator 9000, the T9000 coming into play here. But if you've noticed, sometimes these little orbs that seem to be showing up seem to be changing shape. Sometimes, are they of a fluid AI type thing? And that's, and I wonder about that sometimes too. Is that, and that's a whole nother question for another show, but are we seeing AI from our future showing up in our current timeline now? Something like that? I don't know. Wow. Wild thing. Yes, wild to think about, isn't it? That's for sure. Okay, so do we have anything else? Mike, anything from you or Ben?
I'm good.
All right. Well, I tell you what, this has been fascinating as always, and that's why I love so much for you guys to bring this stuff to the table. And I want to continue doing this. I really do. I want to bring you on, Dustin and Ben, as often as you guys would like to come and join us to talk about these sort of things, because I think it's that important for us to really get these cases out there and let these people be heard. I'm so happy that you guys do what you do at MUFON. And I know there's other organizations, but I know MUFON goes back to Roswell, right? Like Roswell times. Isn't that the case? Didn't MUFON kind of get started back in that time
So
frame?
it got started in 1969. So the
Okay.
same year that Project Blue Book closed its
Yeah,
doors,
there it is.
yep,
Yeah,
MUFON opened theirs.
okay. Yeah, I knew it was right around there, something like that. But the fact that people have an outlet they can reach out to folks, and I know you get a lot of pilots and whatnot and folks that might not want to put this out publicly with their name on it because of fear of, and I hope this is fading away, but because of fear of their own status or whatever, losing their job or their reputation being damaged by coming out and talking about this sort of thing. I think that stigma is slowly but surely falling away, whether it comes to them being able to talk and losing their pilot's license for airline pilots and things like that. I think there's many that are still, and you probably could talk about this more than anyone, because I know that a couple of the cases you brought on the first time we had you on were from pilots, right? And
Yep.
they didn't want to divulge their names and that. Is that, you think it's getting easier for them, or is it still pretty tough?
No, and I've
Personally,
seen some people that came out and finally reported something they've been holding on for 20 years because
Yeah.
they're ready to retire. And so that there's no repercussions from their job or from whatever they used to do for a living.
yeah, Ben's right. We get a lot of cases from people that are retired now, and so they don't have to worry about losing their job. And
Right.
it sucks because we want those cases when they happen, but I completely understand why they would
Oh,
keep
absolutely.
it secret. Yeah, you got to make a living.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting better, Jeff. But yeah, especially with pilots, or and I would also say probably military as well. They still keep it close to the vest, and
Yeah. Or even
want
police
it
officers
anonymous.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yep,
Things
police
like
officers
that.
as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they're paid observers. That's kind of what they're out there to be watching everything and everybody. And when they see stuff like that, it's pretty crazy that they would not be able to report it and give it its due attention that it needs. It's unfortunate, but I think we're getting closer. I really do. And like I said earlier, I don't think we're ever going to get total disclosure. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think we're getting closer to the actual, some disclosure, and talking about, how Roswell, and that was the thing when Age of Disclosure came out, they're talking about, oh yeah, Roswell actually happened. And I'm like, okay, I kind of believed it did, but I mean, for them to now talk about it a little bit, but again, will we ever get it all? And that's the thing, you talk about too, the Area 51. If we're in the process of developing new technology for our military, I think they have to keep it secret. They have to keep it behind closed doors, and all of that until the B-2 bomber and the stealth fighter and all that stuff was secret. And if you saw that flying over back in the day, you would be like, that's a alien spacecraft for sure. Now we know that it isn't. Eventually these things will roll out. But I mean, again, they have to keep it secret because they don't want our adversaries knowing exactly what we have. Right. So,
Yep.
All right. How can people reach out to you guys if they have something? And they don't have to. Do they have to be from Utah? I mean, they should reach out to their state MUFON. But I mean, if somebody has something they want to discuss, what's the best way to for them to reach out to MUFON?
MUFON.com. That's where you can submit your case. If you want to reach out to me, just Dustin Eskelsen, my name.com has all my social media on there. Drop me a line. And I try to post cases on there as well. So yeah, give me a follow. And I love to hear from so many people. We get a lot of cases through social media as well. People reaching out, wanting our opinion on what they saw or what they experienced. So it's a wonderful community, and I love what I do. It's the most amazing thing I've ever done, and most rewarding thing to sort of. It's a way to give back to the community, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, what about you? Same thing. I mean, do you are you really enjoying the investigation part of all this?
Oh, I have fun. I started at Skinwalker, and this is just kind of carrying on. I love doing it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And just interacting with people.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fun.
Yeah.
When you don't have a job anymore, you got to have something to do.
Yeah.
Well, this is my way of doing my investigation. I mean, I'm always looking up, that's for sure. I'm always looking for stuff like that. When I flew, I just flew up to the north to Wisconsin and back, and believe me, I was looking out the window. Like when I had the window seat, even when I wasn't, I'm looking over, and I was hoping there was nobody in the middle, and there was a person at the window, and I'm looking out the window. I'm thinking, I hope she doesn't think I'm staring at her or something, because I'm trying to look out the window. But then on the one flight, I was in a window seat, and I spent the whole time. I mean, I'm not ignoring the lady that was sitting next to me. I'm looking out the window, and then the sun went down and the night sky, and I was watching out there. I was looking for anything. I did take a few pictures, but it was weird because I'm always looking, and I think we all need to continue looking up. And then let me know what you find out. So, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you so much. Let's get this scheduled again with you guys to come on, and anyone you got. Let's do the Illinois gentleman first, or MUFON. Let's do that coming up next.
Sure.
And folks, like I said, subscribe to the channel. And so, we're going to keep this going. We have to keep this going throughout 2026 and keep talking about the UFO, UAP, non-human intelligence topic. Needs to be here and stay with us, and get more and more information out there. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks all of you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate it very much. And please, if you like the content we did for you here tonight, give us a thumbs up and share this. Share this with anybody that you know that likes this particular topic, because we want to get this out there to as many people as possible. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time, folks, right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everyone.